Hey guys, alright, so it's the end of week 4 at camp. I can't believe it's been going so fast. And this week was a little bit different for me. I didn't have any campers, so it was, I wasn't sure if I would find myself lost without campers, or if maybe I would find myself without campers. I think it was a little bit of both. As the week progressed, I found myself just wanting to be alone more, which is weird for me because when I'm at camp, a lot of the times I seek out people to spend time with because I am such a people person. And it was strange, and I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me? Every time I would be relaxing somewhere and someone would come and I would just, someone would come into where I was relaxing and there was something where I was just like, oh, I don't want to be here right now. So I'd get up and go find somewhere else. And then it was Thursday night. I went to elementary chapel, which was different compared to teen chapel. Just really listening to how you minister to younger kids, which I've been on elementary staff before. Their chapels are a lot different. So it was sort of just taking a trip down memory lane, going to an elementary chapel. But when it was over, I had nowhere to go. I didn't have campers to talk with about how the message affected them, and I didn't have the rest of the teen staff was at their chapel still because it lasts a bit longer. So I found myself with nothing to do again, and just not knowing what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be. And it was just, I keep saying strange because it's not my normal self. Normally I have somewhere that I need to be and something I need to be doing. So I sat and watched fireflies for a while, and eventually some people started walking over in the direction of where I was, and I just got up and walked away, trying to figure out what was going on with me, because by this time I knew God was trying to tell me something and I just needed to be alone with Him, and I needed to be just quiet and listen for what He's trying to tell me. So I went and I sat on the prayer deck in the woods and just lay there, and presented myself to God. And it was so refreshing because I got there and I was just like, God, you know why this week has been sort of strange for me, and you know why I've been quiet in comparison to weeks before. And it was just great to be able to cry out to God because He knows my needs and He knows the deepest desires of my heart. And so even when I don't even know what I'm thinking, God does. And that's really what He spoke to me. He's like, I know your needs and I know the desires of your heart. And I'm going to take care of you in that way. And it was so refreshing. I think I've sort of lost sight of God because for me it's easier to understand Jesus and the Spirit rather than the third part of the Trinity that is God, because He's so powerful and so mighty that sometimes He seems distant. So I'd been asking and praying this week for Him to become real to me, and just laying there on the prayer deck looking up at the huge massive trees around me, God's like, I'm enveloping you. In Psalm, I think it's 139, it says, I hem you in from in front and behind. And I just felt that, while I was sitting there, God was completely enveloping me, surrounding me fully. And so it popped into my head, like, read Habakkuk, which I sort of sat there and I was like, where is this thought coming from? And am I crazy, or is God telling me to do this? And then I was a bit hesitant because I was thinking, what if I go and I read it and it doesn't pertain to anything that I'm going through? Like, will I be making this up in my head? And so eventually, though, I got up and I was walking from the prayer deck to the access road, and God just struck me with, like, I see what you're doing and I appreciate it. And that just was what I needed. Which is weird because I had to get up and start walking in order for me to hear that. And while what I do at camp is not for my own glory, and in no means, to build myself up, it's all for the glory of Christ. Like, I think I needed that encouragement, because a lot of the times at camp everyone gets distracted and people don't show their appreciation when you really are appreciative. Like, there's a lot of people that I don't say thank you to enough. And so for me to hear that word from God just saying, I see what you're doing and it's good, really hit me. And so I walk in the cabin and there are 3 counselors just talking, and I walk in and I'm sure to them I seem completely crazy, because I was like, hi, I need to get my Bible. Where's my Bible at? They're just like, are you okay? Is everything fine? I'm like, yeah, I have to go. And so I go outside and I sat by the fire that was dying out and just read through Habakkuk, trying to figure out what God was telling me. And it was really interesting, because I'm sure I've read Habakkuk before, but really what it is Habakkuk having a conversation with God and God answering him clearly and directly. And here it says in Habakkuk 3, 1 through 2, it says, O Lord, I heard the report of you and your work. O Lord, do I fear. In the midst of the years, revive it. In the midst of the years, make it known. In wrath, remember mercy. And the version I read said, like, O Lord, I have heard of your fame. And I was just like, yes, I have. Like, all around me, the trees cry out praises to the Lord. And it was just so neat to see a direct conversation between Habakkuk and God, and how, for me, I felt so distant from God, as opposed to a relationship with Christ, to the point where being able to see someone interact with God on a level like that, where he's like, I've seen what you've done, and like, you were so powerful and mighty. And he goes on to talk about how God can split the earth and mountains crumble as he goes by, and it was just what I needed. It's hard to explain because I don't quite know all the backstory to Habakkuk, which is something that I'm excited to look at this weekend, but it was just right for everything that happened, and I was able to look back and see, like, that's why God kept me quiet this week. It says in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. And that's what he was calling me to do this week. And it took every night of the week of uncomfortable silence and confusion over what I wanted to be doing or what I needed to be doing. It took every night of the week until I finally got to the point where I could sit down, ask God what's going on here. And he was able to respond with just, I am here and I am in direct relation with you. Like, I sent my son to have that relationship with you, but we're still connected. And it's neat how this week where I don't have campers, he was able to use that to teach me, instead of me teaching campers. So that's the main point of my week that was really big. Other than that, I got planning done for recreational specialists. I printed up a lot of Bible verses for all the areas around camp and, hung them up around camp. But other than that, we're going into week 5, and it's high school week, so I'm really excited. High schoolers are probably my favorite age to work with because you can really get in depth with spiritual aspects with them. So I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.